Hi, welcome to another video from the Barrett channel. Today I want to talk about China's population crisis. During the last 20 or 30 years, China's economy has absolutely surged ahead. In a lot of those years it's clocked up double-digit GDP growth year on year. Even now, although Western media seem to think it's doom and gloom, China's economy is still growing by more than 6% a year, which is, is far better than any Western countries. So, what do I mean about the population crisis? Well, the population crisis is a lack of people, or more specifically, it's a lack of people of working age. In order to keep their economy going at the sort of levels that it has been going over the recent years, they need people to take up all those jobs to keep that economy moving. So what's the cause of this population crisis that China now has? Well, I think the main reason was probably the one-child policy. The one-child policy, which is quite well known in the West, was a result of the Chinese government thinking their population was growing far too quickly. So from around 1950 till the mid-1970s, the population of China exploded and 400 million extra people were added to the population. So around 1980, the population stood at about 950 million. At this time, the authorities were really concerned about, how quick the population was growing, and they decided to do something about it. And what they did was they introduced the one-child policy. The one-child policy technically meant that couples could only have one child. This led to sort of consequences later on that I'm not sure whether the authorities realised those consequences at the time, but one of those consequences has sort of come home to roost now, where they just don't have enough people. Not only do they have not enough young people to go into the workforce over the next few decades, but by 2030 it's estimated that a quarter of China's population will be older than the working age. So there'll be an even bigger burden to take care and fund those old people that are now retired. One of the consequences of the one-child policy as well was that because a lot of provinces in China favour a child as a boy, a male child, there's a big imbalance of men and women in China. Figures suggest that there's about 35 million more men than there are women in China. So the knock-on effect of this is, although the authorities have now abandoned the one-child policy, back in 2015, 2016, they said that couples could now have 2 children. But there's a huge lack of women at a childbearing age because of this imbalance in the population. So, what does this mean for China's economy? Well, I guess it means that if they don't have enough people going into the workplace, the economy will not be able to grow at the rate it has previously. It also means that China's economy may start to stall. And in fact, after around 2030, the population in China actually starts to decrease quite rapidly. And potentially they will lose around 400 million people from their population by the year 2100. That's quite a large, that's a huge amount of people. So, what have the Chinese government done about this? Okay, like I said, in 2015-2016 they abandoned the one-child policy. now suggesting to couples that they can have 2 children. So this is a good idea, and initially they saw an increase in the birth rate, but this only lasted for a very short time, and now the birth rate has actually dropped again. And it's not even enough to sort of sustain the population at current levels. And even now that people can have 2 children, it's widely expected that this rule may even be abolished, allowing couples to have as many children as they wish. However, many couples are still choosing to only have 1 child. I think this is because for many years they've been almost brainwashed into saying that one child is okay. And the second reason is that couples, families now are much more aware of the cost of raising a child. So here in China, you know, most schools have classes of between 45 and 60 pupils. So many parents want their kids to have additional curricular education. And this is very expensive, you know, English, maths, science, you know, Chinese, piano, all these kind of things. They're anywhere from, you know, 250 to 500 RMB an hour, depending on where you live. And that's a huge cost. So parents are really concerned about that issue. As well as that, the fertility rate has dropped. Women want to pursue careers. They want to be more independent, so they are marrying later and starting families at a later stage. All these factors are contributing to the drop in population and the lack of children being born. So, what are the Chinese government, what are the Chinese authorities doing about this? Are they aware of it? Yeah, of course they're aware of it. They're acutely aware of it. So, one of the factors here is that you've probably heard in the Western news that China are rapidly developing AI and automation. In fact, Chinese factories are some of the fastest in the world that are turning to automation. You know, I've been coming here for more than 10 years and I've seen factories go from, you know, staffing hundreds of people working, making things. Those similar factories now are making the same things with just a handful of people. They have robots, they have AI. China as a country are probably investing more than any other country in the world in these technologies right now. And I think this is one of the reasons why it has the USA and Europe running a bit scared of China, because they're advancing at such a rate. And in my opinion, one of the reasons they're advancing at such a rate is because they don't want to have this issue of the economy slowing down because they don't have enough workers. You have some of the largest tech companies in the world based here in China, actually here in Shenzhen. You have companies like Tencent, Alibaba, Baidu, and these are companies that are pouring tens of millions, hundreds of millions, perhaps even billions of dollars into these new AI and automated technologies to make things more efficient. You know, and I just see that the factories that employ this kind of technology, they will still be able to maintain very high levels of productivity with very few workers. So I think this is one of the big areas where China really are addressing the shortfall in the working age population. It would be really good to hear your thoughts and comments on this subject, so please, you know, comment down below. Anyway, that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked it, give us a thumbs up. That greatly helps us. If you like the channel and you like what you're seeing, please subscribe, and if you really want to, hit that notification bell so you can find out as soon as we upload new videos. Anyway, as always, take care.